And welcome to the Bible Quiz of the God, my brother Jacob. And this is the 8th day. And I want to start this out in Colossians 2 and 16. It's a very serious day, y'all. You don't come in here doing no singing and joining, joy and all praise and all. This is the day of a solemn assembly. And Colossians 2 and 16, like I always start out, tells us about how the Lord's feast days are a shadow of things to come. So here it says, let no man judge you in meat or in drink or in respect of a holy day or of the new moon or of the Sabbath days, which are a shadow of things to come, but the body is of Christ. This is paramount. This is letting us know that the Lord's feast haven't ended yet. Now everything about his days are a shadow of things to come. And this being the 8th day, we're going to see that it's clearly the day of judgment. Let's go to Leviticus 23rd chapter and get right into this, because I got a lot I want to drop on this. Because as we look at this day, we're going to look at and define solemn. What does it mean? I'm not going to stand here and tell you, oh, I don't know what it means. Solemn means solemn. No, we're going to actually, like the Lord said, wisdom is the principal thing, but with all your getting, get what? Understanding. Not going to leave y'all here assuming what it is. We're going to understand what solemn means and why it's this day is separate from the days that we rejoiced in. Okay? So Leviticus 23rd chapter and verse 1. Now I want to point out, of all the Lord's feast days, this is the only day that is numbered. Think about it. You got the Passover, right? You got the unleavened bread name, right? You got the Pentecost. You got the more blowing of the trumpets. Then you come to the Day of Atonement, right? Then you get to the Feast of Tabernacles, right? And then the Lord said, 8th day. Why did he use a number for this day? We're going to see it right now. Leviticus 23rd chapter. The only day. See, each one of the Lord's feast days has an aspect of salvation, has a different perspective on salvation that we need to pay close attention to. Because if you miss it now, you're going to get it later. You're going to get some understanding, and it's going to be in this 8th day. And when it comes to this 8th day, you're going to see this right now. Why the Lord numbered this day, the 8th day. Now, Leviticus 23 and 1 tells us, the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them concerning the feast of the Lord, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations. Even these are my feasts. Now watch this. 6 days shall work be done, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of rest, a holy convocation. Now, on this chart, the Lord gave us, when he created man, he created him on the 6th day. He said, 6 days you got to labor. So the 6th day is the last day of our labor, but the 7th is the Sabbath of the Lord's rest. What if they don't believe this? What if they don't believe that? I got what I got, want what I want. What if they don't believe that? That's what remains for them, y'all. The 8th day. What if they don't pay attention to this book? It don't mean diddly squat. Because look, it says 6 days shall work be done, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of rest, and holy convocation, you shall do no work therein. This is the Sabbath of the Lord in all your dwellings. Verse 4. These are the feasts of the Lord, even holy convocations, which you shall proclaim in the season. So these are the annuals now. He just went from the one that's marked by every week. But we're going to get to the feast that's at hand, y'all. We're going to get to the feast that's at hand right now. And this is a different type feast because it's part of the ingathering. This is the rest of the ingathering. This is the last day. But right here, watch what the Lord says in Leviticus 23 and 33. Skip all the way down there. He says, and the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, saying, the 15th day of the 7th month shall be a feast of tabernacles for 7 days unto the Lord. So that's what we just got through ending when the sun went down on the 14th of October. So when the sun went down, that's when this was over. The Feast of Tabernacles was over. But watch this. On the first day you shall have a holy convocation. You shall do no servile work therein. Notice, 7 days ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. But watch this. On the 8th day shall be a holy convocation unto you, and you shall offer an offering made by fire to the Lord. Why did the Lord just have a continuous fire? Why didn't he just say 8 days of fire? Think about it. Because we rejoice over these 7 days, which represent the presence of God in us. But when you get to the 8th day, he's going to look and see, did you have him in you? And he's looking at everybody. that did not come up in the first resurrection. Let me finish this. And it said, it is a solemn assembly. Ye shall do no servile work therein. Now, let's define what solemn means, y'all. Let me pull it this. And you can even pull it up on your phone if you want to. Instant knowledge, right quick, Johnny on the spot. Listen to what solemn means. Solemn, the word solemn means is an adjective meaning to describe. It means formal, dignified, as in a solemn procession. Okay, it's synonymous with majestic, and the opposite of being solemn is frivolous. Like these holidays, they're frivolous, meaningless. They're opposite of the Lord's. All his feasts are majestic. But watch this. But only this day means this next definition. Solemn also means not cheerful or smiling. So if you saw 8-day observation where they was like, hey, they had the choir singing, they was not doing what the Lord said. Because it is not smiling. Listen to this. Not cheerful or smiling, serious. Watch this. As in Tim looked very solemn, it's synonymous with the word serious, grave, somber, unsmiling, stern, grim, humorless. Meaning you ain't supposed to be coming in thinking you're gonna be, you're supposed to come in like, dude, it's it. This is the last day. And we're gonna show you the Lord said, in the last day, the book's gonna be open and judgment gonna be set forth. And he ain't judging people by their lip service. He's judging everybody by their work. So if you don't make that first resurrection, man, I got the hairs on the back of my head kind of standing on that. Man, look, all your business on this thing. That's why this thing is serious. That's why it's called a solemn assembly. Now I want to skip down to if we think about this, remember he had us rejoice for 7 days because of the presence of God. And it's similar to the Feast of Unleavened Bread, which means the sincerity and truth of God has been here since day one. Remember Abel, didn't he offer up a more excellent sacrifice than Cain? So from day one all the way down to when the Lord come back, he's got sincerity and truth here. His presence has been here for 7 days. And everybody that didn't partake of that, you're going to raise them up. We're going to see that. We're going to see that. We're going to see that. So now, let's go to 1 Chronicles 23 and 31. Because I want to point something out with this solemn feast thing. 1 Chronicles 23 and 31. Because you may have seen others, they already did their observations and observance of the 8th day. And they had the choir singing and all that. They were not holding what the Lord called a solemn feast for this day. Because we're going to understand clearly what's going on, y'all. 1 Chronicles 23 and 31. 1 Chronicles 23 and 31, it reads, to offer all burnt sacrifices to the Lord in the Sabbaths, in the new moons, and on the set feasts. This is what we observe. We're not observing new moons. So I just want to put that out there. People going by the new moons, they were early. Anybody that's following the new moons, they were on a different count. They weren't even counting, really. But the set feast is by count, and it says by number, according to the order commanded unto them continually for the Lord. Now I want to go to 2 Chronicles 2 and 4 and watch how the Lord describes this. 2 Chronicles 2 and 4. Let the book break this down. Because once you understand what the Lord using, and look, when you come to this day, you're gonna be like, Lord, have mercy. This is going to be a day that all of us, even God, gonna cry on this day, y'all. Gonna have to wipe away the tears from the eyes of God. It's gonna be that solemn. Watch this. 2 Chronicles 2 and 4. Notice he says, behold, I build an house to the name of the Lord my God, to dedicate it to him and to burn before him sweet incense for the continual showbread and for the burnt offerings, notice morning and evening, on the Sabbath, watch how it separates it, and on the new moon, so that's the beginning of the month. Watch this, and on the solemn feast of the Lord, because all the Lord's feasts are majestic. All of them are dignified, aren't they? But guess what? All of them ain't stern and grave, like, no, only the 8th day. That's why he separated that fire from the 7 days. And notice, this is an ordinance forever to Israel. Now I'm going to go to 2 Chronicles, the 8th chapter, and verse 12, and let the Bible break it down a little further. 2 Chronicles 8 and 12. And watch this. And Solomon offered burnt offerings to the Lord on the altar of the Lord, which he had built before the porch, even after a certain rate every day, offering according to the commandment of Moses. Notice, on the Sabbaths, then you had on the new moons, and then look what's separate. On the solemn feast, notice, 3 times in the year, even in the feast of unleavened bread. Notice it says in the feast of weeks, and then it says on the feast of tabernacles. But now I want to go into Deuteronomy 16 chapter and show you the same thing, but it's going to say in gather. Let's go to Deuteronomy 16 and 13. Because this tabernacle was a rejoicing for 7 days, but the Lord omitted that 8th day right there because it's a part of what the overall ingathering was from Abel all the way down to, and we're going to read it, to the last man that dies before the Lord. That, yes, Deuteronomy 16, and we're going to go 16 and 13. The Lord is gathering in his people. When you die in the Lord, the brother that died in the year 33 BC, he's gathering to his people, the people of God. The Lord is gathering ever since Abel. That's why he said from Abel all the way down to us, the righteous blood. Those are the people that belong to God. That's why we have the Feast of Tabernacles representing the presence of God in us. But guess what? Everybody in that said coming up for the 7th day. Everybody in that said coming up there. And we're going to see this in Deuteronomy 16 chapter. I want to point out how 3 times in a year is reiterated. But notice this. Deuteronomy 16 and verse 16. It says 3 times in a year. That's if we never left 2 Chronicles. He just repeating the same thing. But watch this. Shall all thy males appear before the Lord in a place which he shall choose in the feast of unleavened bread, in the feast of weeks, and in the feast of tabernacles, and they shall not appear before me empty. Now watch this. Let's go to Exodus 23rd chapter and verse 14. Just wanted to show you that in this chapter, it's repeating what we read in Chronicles. That's why it's not hard to understand the Lord's set feast. All you got to do is read the book. And we claim to read the book. It should be seen. It's nothing, I didn't put that in there. The Lord put that in there. But watch this, y'all. Exodus 23 and verse 14. Watch this, y'all. That's where this thing gets real hairy. Right here. Exodus 23, 14. 3 times shalt thou keep a feast unto me in the year. Same things we read in Deuteronomy 16. But notice what he calls it. Thou shalt keep the feast on unleavened bread. Thou shalt eat unleavened bread 7 days as I commanded thee, which represents the Lord's sincerity and truth being here for 7 days. Then it says, as I commanded thee in the time appointed of the month Abib, for in it thou camest out from Egypt, and none shall appear before me empty. Then watch this. In the feast of harvest, the first feast of thy labor, which thou hast sown in the field, and watch this, in the feast of ingathering. Now he's including the 8th day. And we're going to see this in a minute. Why it's called ingathering, we'll see, which is in the end. Notice he said put in the end. Why? Because when you add this 8th day on there, guess what? You included the end. It's actually the end that this day represents of the world as we know it, of everybody coming out of the ground, no one to be covered after this day. And we're going to see that in a minute. And it goes, 3 times in a year shall all thy males appear before the Lord thy God. Now let's go to Matthew's 13th chapter and verse 38. Matthew 13 and 38. Matthew's 13th chapter and verse 38. And this is why the fire of this day is different from all the 7 days that preceded this day. Hold on, I'm trying to make sure I read 16. I'm looking at my notes. I didn't start at the 13th verse. I'm sorry. In Deuteronomy 16th chapter, I should have started at the 13th verse. And I want to point something out here. Notice what it says before we go to Matthew's. Go back to Deuteronomy 16. I should have started at the 13th. But it says here, thou shalt observe the feast of tabernacles 7 days after that thou hast gathered in thy corn and thy wine. And notice, and thou shalt rejoice in thy feast thou and thy son and thy daughter and thy manservant and thy maidservant and the Levite and the stranger and the fatherless and the widow that is within thy gates. Notice, he called this 7 days shalt thou keep a solemn feast unto the Lord thy God in the place which the Lord shall choose, because the Lord thy God shall bless thee in all thy increase and all the works of thy hands. Therefore shalt thou surely rejoice. So the 7 days were majestic. You were enjoying, those were dignified unto the Lord. But this day, y'all, we're going to see this. You come to this one. This is grim. This fits that definition of grim, somber, no smiling and no rejoicing in this day. And we're going to play the sound of this day before we get out of here, so you can understand why ain't no smiling on this day. Now let's look at Matthew 13 chapter, because there's a particular way the Lord laid this thing out. And we're going to go to Matthew 13 and 38. Because what we read earlier said, which thou shalt bring forth out of the field. Now, we're going to start at, actually, I need to start at 37, because this is what Jesus did. And see, Matthew 13 chapter and verse 37. And he answered and said unto them, he that soweth the good seed is the Son of Man. The field is the world. The good seed are the children of the kingdom, but the tares are the children of the wicked one. The enemy that soweth them is the devil, and the harvest is the end of the world. But notice this, and the reapers are the angels. As therefore the tares are gathered and burned in the fire, notice, so shall it be at the end of this world, y'all. That's why we rejoice for 7 days. Because this day represents the end of the world as we, period. There won't be no more flesh and blood. We went in as flesh and blood. I'm going to show you that. We got to read that, and we're going to read that. But we ain't coming out the same way we went in. Everybody that come up in that last resurrection, they ain't coming out the same way they went in. Some going to get in and some not going to get in. But look, let's get down to verse 47. Watch this. Same chapter, Matthew 13 and 47. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a net that was cast into the sea and gathered of every kind. That's why all down through the line of history, all man's existence, the Lord been gathering. He been gathering in. Then watch this. Which then it was full, they drew the shore and sat down and gathered the good into the vessels, but he cast the bad away. Notice, so shall it be at the end of the world, and the angels shall come forth and serve the wicked from among the just, y'all. In this day is when the Lord is going to do this, and shall cast them into a furnace of fire. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. This is the day that this is going to happen. Because the people that didn't come up, that didn't even believe in the Bible. They're like, man, look, I got Allah. Or I got all these other guys. Man, the Bible don't mean nothing to me. You got people running around thinking some man made that Bible. But guess what? At the end of this world, he's going to sever the wicked from the just. Because we're going to show you how the just come up in the resurrection of the just. So let's look at Hebrews 11 right quick, and then we're going to look at when he started his ingathering, y'all. Hebrews 11, and we're going to go right to verse 4, and then I'm going to just go down verse by verse and identify when the Lord started his gathering, y'all. Hebrews 11 chapter and verse 4. Now, let me bring this chart so we can all get it. So everybody got a good look at this thing. Hebrews 11. Now, if you notice at Hebrews 11 and 4, notice what it says. By faith, Abel offered unto God a more excellent sacrifice than Cain, by which he obtained witness that he was righteous, God testifying of his gifts, and by it, he being dead, yet speaking. Where was that? That was right here in day one. That was right there in the beginning. So from there, he proved that he was righteous. Verse 5. By faith, Enoch was translated that he should not see death and was not found, because God had translated him. For before his translation, he had this testimony that he believed God. This is in the beginning. This is early in the beginning. Notice we go by faith. Skip down to verse 7. No, I actually need to read verse 6. But without faith, it is impossible to please him. For he that cometh to God must believe that he is, and that he is a reward of them that diligently seek him. What if you don't believe? What if there's no God, man? Look, my God is my pocket. You know, I go get my job. That's what my God is. My, you see what I'm saying? In God, we trust. That's what my God is. You got some people live like that. In church, really, it's a joke. You know, I got air to breathe. That's what, you know, they thinking like this. People that think like that, how they gonna come up in the Lord's side today? They don't even know nothing about it. Really? So without faith, they don't even know about this stuff. But notice the ones that do, he said, by faith, nor being warned of God, of things not seen, but as yet he moved with fear. He prepared his ark to the saving of his house, by which he condemned the world and became heir of the righteousness which is by faith. Because at that time it got so wicked, the Lord said, look, I'm gonna put you in his ark. And the rest of them, see, but this time when the Lord hit the earth, he gonna hit it with fire. And then everybody that don't come up for the seventh day, because his commandments say, rest for the seventh day, what they got left, y'all? They got to come up. And we're going to read something that's definitely pertinent. But look, by faith, Abraham, he was called to go out to a place which he should, after receive an inheritance, obeyed, and he went out, not knowing whither he went. In other words, these are men of God that showed that they had the presence of God in them. That's why we rejoice for 7 days, because God been present since Abel. His Holy Spirit been there all 7 days. But guess what? What if you didn't partake of that? It didn't mean nothing to you. This lake of fire is waiting. And that's when all the business is going to be on the table. That's why we read at the end of the world, he's going to separate the just from the unjust. Because everybody in necessarily coming up in that first resurrection. You got to be present for that. Believe you me. That's why he said, blessed and holy is he that have part in the first resurrection. But I want to skip down to verse all the way down to the end, because I got a lot to get out. To verse 39, sorry. We're skipping all the way down, because it talks about Isaac and Jacob and Joseph and Moses, goes and how they forsook Egypt, Rahab, the harlot. But watch this. All these having obtained a good report through faith, receive not the promise. God having provided some better thing for us, that they without us should not be made perfect. That's why the combination of the Feast of Tabernacles is in the 7th day. Because we can read where you're going to see Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and all the prophets sitting in the what? Kingdom of God. That's for the 7th day. But what about the rest of the people that don't believe it? Think about this. So now let's go into, I'm going to go to Luke 14 chapter. And the Lord showed me this, man. I was like, are you serious? Whew, scary. Scary stuff. Luke 14, we're going to Luke 14. And we're going to start at verse 12. Now, it just happened to be, because we were feasting out by, and we didn't even know. I don't know who picked the spot that was feasting out at the park. But yesterday, after sundown, we found out that we have been feasting by people that were physically disabled. We didn't even know it. Till we was like, huh, y'all? Because people started coming out with wheelchairs, and brother came over and asked for food. We was like, hey, you welcome. The brother said, we felt so much love here. Yeah. So we was like, wow. The wife went on across the street, and we like, wait a minute, why is there so many this? And watch this, y'all. This right here was like, check this out. And he said unto them, verse 12, when thou makest a dinner or a supper, call not thy friends, nor thy brethren, neither thy kinsmen, nor thy rich neighbors, lest they also bid thee again, and a recompense be made thee. And we actually thought we were supposed to be feasting that brother Darren's house, and he said, no. I'm like, why did it switch us off at the last minute? And the Lord woke me up with this morning. This is why I changed it. Watch this. But when thou makest a feast, call the poor, and the maimed, and the lame, and the blind. I was like, the Lord's manipulating this whole thing. That's who we were sitting by, and we didn't even know it. He said, and thou shalt be blessed, for they cannot recompense thee, but thou shalt be recompensed at the resurrection of the just. This is what we're looking for, y'all. But watch this. The Lord said, keep reading, man. And when one of them had sat and meat with him, he heard these things. He said unto the blessed is he that shall eat bread in the kingdom of God. Now remember, up higher, we supposed to feast it for how many days? 7 days. That's the supper of the Lord. For 7 days, we're supposed to do that, rejoicing for those 7 days. Then note, then he said unto him, a certain man made a great supper and bade many, and sent the servant at supper time to say unto them that were bidden, come, for all things are now ready. So we bid, invite people to come on out. Hey, if you can come out, like we were able to make it in the middle of the feast. So at any point in time that you did this feast, look what the Lord said. And they would all, they said, they all with one consent begin to make excuses. Interesting. It said, the first said unto him, I have bought a piece of ground. I must needs to go and see it. I pray thee, have me excused. Another said, I have bought 5 yokes of oxen, and I go to prove them. I pray thee, have me excused. And another said, I have married a wife, and therefore I cannot come. Notice he said, so that servant came and showed his Lord these things. Then the master of the house, being angry, said to his servant, go out quickly into the streets and the lanes of the city, bring in hither the poor and the maimed and the halt and the blind, and watch this, y'all. And the servant said, Lord, it is done as thou hast commanded, yet there is room. And notice, the Lord said unto the servant, go out into the highways and hedges and compel them to come in, that my house may be filled. For I say unto you that none of those men which were bidden shall taste of my supper. That's why we were to feast for 7 days, because the Lord will drop the supper all this time for 7 days. And you get partake of that, guess what? Only thing left for you is this 8th day, which is going to be a solemn assembly. Now, I'm going to go to Isaiah 56 and 1. Isaiah 56 and 1. Isaiah 56 and 1, we're going to skip down. Because see, this day, Isaiah 56 and 1, because the Lord been gathering, and he been gathering those that partake of his commandments. And this is why the Lord truly said this right here, Isaiah 56 and 1. It said, thus said the Lord, keep ye judgment and do justice, for my salvation is near to come, and my righteousness to be revealed. Notice he said, blessed is the Jew. No, he didn't say that, did he? No. He said, blessed is the man that doeth this, and the son of man that lay hold on it, that keepeth the Sabbath from polluting it, and keeping his hand from doing any evil. What if you don't believe in dealing with this thing? How you gonna come up in the Lord's rest? And you don't even acknowledge it. Mm-hmm. And I want to hold this spot right here. Let's go to Hebrews 9 chapter. Hebrews 9 and 27. Hebrews 9 and 27. Watch this, y'all. Because this is for everybody right here. Everybody. Hebrews 9 chapter and verse 27. It reads, it is appointed unto men once to die, but after this, the judgment. So if you never believed in the commandments of God, what you got waiting on you? The judgment. And we're going to show you that he swore to the unbeliever, you ain't coming up in my rest. Think about it. Saint is the biggest rest breaker. You think about when you was out in the world, you love to party on Saturday. I should do everything I could on Saturday, man. That's my day when I was out the knowledge, without the knowledge of God. So Satan want to keep it big because he's the biggest rest breaker. But look what shows up after the Sabbath day, the 8th day. Look what shows up even now. We're practicing what's happening after the Sabbath day. The whole world is in the church, what? On the day after the Sabbath day. And what's Satan doing in there? Y'all know what he's doing in there. God, please. Okay, there's a whole lesson on that. Anyway, that's why it's appointed to a man to die, wants to die, but after this, the judgment. Because if you're not adhering to the commandments of God, the only thing you got to look for is judgment day. And we're going to see that. But I'm going to go back to Isaiah 56. Because he said, blessed is the man that doeth this and take hold. So I'm going to skip down to Isaiah 56 and verse 6 now. Because this book was given to Israel, but Israel didn't want to pay attention. And let me show you why Israel didn't want to pay attention, because of their unbelief. And the Lord swore to our forefathers that was in unbelief, you ain't coming up with my rest. And watch this, verse 6. Also the sons of the stranger that join themselves to the Lord to serve him and to love the name of the Lord, to be his service. Everyone that keepeth the Sabbath for polluting it and take hold of my covenant, even them will I bring to my holy mountain and make them joyful in my house of prayer, and their burnt offerings and those and their sacrifice. How they gonna do this except they be priests? Think about it. How they gonna offer? As he said, their sacrifices shall be set upon my altar. For my house shall be called a house of prayer for all people. Now notice, the Lord God, which gathered the outcasts of Israel, says, yet will I gather others to him, besides those that I gather unto him. That's why this whole, all the entire feast is called the ingathering, because the servants that died were there. If anybody that died keeping the Lord's Sabbath at any point in his time in his covenants, like we mentioned, like we read here, that join themselves to the Lord, partakers, they've been gathered, he's gonna raise them up. Because the commandment said, 6 days shalt thou labor, but the seventh is the Sabbath of what? Rest, holy unto the Lord. So now watch this now. Let's go and look at the stranger for a minute. Let's go to Romans 2 and 25. Because the stranger is considered the uncircumcised, everyone that's outside of the covenant that God made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So right here, Romans 2 and 25. Romans 2 and 25. Romans 2 and 25. Watch this, y'all. For circumcision verily profited, here's the condition, y'all, if thou keep the law. But if thou be a breaker of the law, thy circumcision is made uncircumcision. Therefore, if the uncircumcision keep the righteousness of the law, shall not his uncircumcision be counted for circumcision? Then watch this, y'all. And shall not uncircumcision, which by nature, if it fulfill the law, here's the key word, y'all, judge thee. You been telling me, that stranger is keeping the commandments of God. He's going to be a judge. And we're going to see that. Who by the letter and circumcision doth transgress the law? Notice, for he is not a Jew which is one outwardly. That's a stranger. That's everybody else. It's not, or rather, this is addressing the fact that he's not a Jew outwardly. But watch this. Neither is that circumcision which is outward in the flesh, but he is a Jew which is one inwardly, and circumcision is that of the heart in the spirit and not in the letter. Notice, whose praise is not of men, but of God. So now let's look at the people that God did give word to and see how they treated it. Let's go to Hebrews, the 3rd chapter. Because the stranger that do what thus said, Lord, he's going to be a judge in this day, y'all. He's going to be sitting right there beside all the people of God that came up in that first resurrection, and he is going to be a judge. Now watch this, Hebrews. That's why I got a problem with that. What, the stranger that's been taught by Israel can't teach this word? Child, please, he'll graduate out of the institution of Israel. Child, please, the book said he can judge. How come he can't teach? I'm like, man, God, the book said God's not respect of persons. He got a protocol now. We know about that. But once you done went through the protocol and we done certified you as a graduate, you good. If we ain't certified, if Israel ain't certified, you ain't. Something wrong. Something is wrong with that doctrine. So here's the people that God gave the word to. And watch what he said. We go to Hebrews 3 and 7. 3 and 7. Watch this. Wherefore, as the Holy Ghost said today, if you will hear his voice, harden not your hearts as in a provocation in the day of temptation in the wilderness. Now, it's very curious that the Lord should have this written in the book of Hebrews. We know Israel got the word. We all know about that. That's a no-brainer. But look what he said. When your fathers tempted me and proved me and saw my works 40 years. No, he said, wherefore I was grieved with that generation and said, they do always err in their heart, and they have not known my ways. Now watch what he does here. So I swear in my wrath, they should not enter into my rest. What does the Sabbath day represent to the people of God, Israel? The day of what? Rest. So he was telling Israel, look, you is not getting in because of your unbelief. It's going to say it right here. He said, take heed, brethren, lest there be in any of you of the evil heart of what? Unbelief and depart from the living God. Because the Lord had gave the word to us to teach. But if you depart from it, you abide in what? Unbelief. And he said, I swear to you, you ain't getting in my rest. Now watch this. That's the scary part. That is really scary. And now let's look at, I'll see if I can. Let's go to Hebrews 20th chapter and look at this command that he gave his people. Exodus 20 and verse 8. Exodus 20th chapter and verse 8. Lord straight up dropped it on us right here, y'all. Exodus 20 and verse 8. Then we're going back to Hebrews. So make sure you hold that spot in Hebrews. Notice he says, remember the Sabbath day, because I'm going right to the chase, y'all. To keep it holy. This is what he told us, our forefathers. 6 days shalt thou labor. And do all that work. That's why he gave man 6 days of labor. Then he said, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor the stranger that is within thy gates. Notice he included everybody, y'all. And he even showed you, even in the commandments, that someone's going to be wealthy, because how you going to have maidservants if you got the wealth to pay you? That's right in the commandments, that wealth. So we ain't necessarily that we all going to be broke. That don't mean, you see what I'm saying? Y'all get what I'm saying right there. But watch how he goes through the creation. That's why I got this up here. He said, for in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea and all them that is, and rested the 7th day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. So what if you don't believe in keeping God's commandments? This is meaningless to you. And this is why the Lord said this in, I want to get there. We're going to go back to Hebrews. We'll get there. Back to Hebrews 3rd chapter. Back to Hebrews 3rd chapter. And we're going to pick it up at verse 13. Because he said, I swear unto them, the very people he gave his commandments to. He said, look, because of your unbelief, your evil heart of unbelief, I swear to you, you ain't getting in my Sabbath day. That's what he did. That's virtually all of us that know what the Sabbath day represents. We know he's talking about the day of rest, which is synonymous with saying the Sabbath day. Point blank, especially Israel. Now notice, he said in verse 13, but exhort one another daily, why it's called today. Lest any of you be hardened through the deceitfulness of sin. And believe you me, the deceitfulness of sin will harden you up, insomuch you would not get into this day of rest. That's why some people that straight look at the Bible as a joke, they be hardened up by sin. They think whatever it is they got is more, is greater than the word of God, or they esteem what they have or esteem themselves above the word of God. Now watch this. For we are made partakers of Christ if we hold the beginning of our confidence steadfast to the end. Now watch how the Lord going to reiterate this. Where it is said today, if you will hear his voice, harden not your hearts as in a provocation. For some, when they had heard, did provoke. Howbeit not all that came out of Egypt by Moses, because guess who made it out? We know Joshua and Caleb, and what? The little children came out. That's why the Lord said if you come as a little child, you ain't getting in. But Joshua and Caleb had another spirit with them, the spirit of Christ. See, and in verse 17, notice he said, but with whom was he grieved 40 years? Was it not with them that had sinned, whose carcasses fell in the wilderness? Notice, and to whom we swear that they should not enter into his rest, but to them what? That believe not. So this thing is about getting ahead. You got to be a believer. So what if you're not a believer? The 8th day is waiting on. That's the bottom line. That's why he said, I swear they should not enter to my rest. No, so we see that they could not enter in because of unbelief. That's why people don't believe in keeping the Sabbath day. Or you see all up in Sunday church, you're like, wait a minute, man. The word don't say nothing about Sunday. He said everything about the Sabbath. Guess why they not? They really not believe. You talk to people about the word, show them the Sabbath. Some of them say, yeah. Watch what they do. That's why we go right into the very next chapter, verse 1. He said, let us therefore fear. Why are you coming to us? Because guess what, y'all? This whole thing is laid out. We right in the midst of it. I will put it out there on the list. I know we're in the 6th day, close to the end. I don't know how close, but we're close enough. Anyway, that's why he said, let us therefore fear, lest a promise being left of us of entering to his rest, any of you should sin to come short of it. Now watch this. For unto us was the gospel preached as well as to them. Them where? In the wilderness. And notice, as well as unto them, but the word preached did not profit them, not being mixed with faith in them that heard. That's why the Lord had Paul write, you have those that's after the letter and those that's after the spirit. You got brothers running around with book, but where's that spirit of faith at? Where's the faith to believe in what it said? Because the Lord said, be not hearers only, but what? Doers of the word. We got to be like that. Because he said, look, they had it, but they didn't have faith, not being mixed in faith in them that heard it. So therefore, verse 3, notice what he says. For we which have believed do enter to rest, as he said, as I have sworn in my wrath, if they shall enter to my rest, although the works are finished from the foundation of the world. For he spake in a certain place of the seventh day on this wise, and God did rest the seventh day from all his works. And watch this. In this place again, if they shall enter to my rest, seeing therefore it remaineth that some must enter therein. And notice, and to whom was it first preached, they entered not in because of unbelief. So already, this 7 days voided to them. It ain't even there for. The only thing they got left is the eighth day. That's why it's a solemn assembly. Now watch with Job. Let's go to Job right quick. Job 21 and 22. And he's going to discuss the wicked. He's going to discuss them and talk about them and their tokens. How do you know the tokens of the wicked? By how they conduct themselves in faith. The unbeliever, man, Sabbath day don't mean jack to me. The believer, Sabbath day means everything to me. Man, look, you be booking in, man. You got to do so much. Oh, man, you feel sorry. The wicked, child, please. They don't even, it's not that important, but it's the difference between being a judge and being judged. That's what's on the table for the night. If you didn't come up for the Sabbath day, look what the Lord said. Have Job right here, 21, and we're going to go right here. It says 21 and 22, Job 21 and 22. It says, shall any teach God knowledge, seeing he judges those things that are high? Because you got people think they ought to teach God. Even the ones that didn't come up in that first resurrection. Anyway, he says, one died in his full strength, being wholly at ease and quiet. His breasts are full of milk, and his bones are moistened with marrow. And notice, and never dieth in the bitterness of his soul, and never eateth pleasure. Watch this. They shall lie down alike in the dust, and the worms shall cover them. Then we read, is appointed to all men to die what? Once. But after that, the judgment. So let's look at what he says unto the wicked. Behold, I know your thoughts and the devices which you wrongfully imagine against me, which say, where is the house of the prince? And where are the dwelling places of the wicked? No. Have ye not asked them that go by the way? Do ye not know their tokens? We know their tokens, y'all. Every day is a Sabbath day, man. Some man mess with that Bible, man. That Bible been reread so many times. Y'all got stories out there about the tokens of the wicked. You can drop a lesson like, wow, they told you that? Yeah, man. Those are the tokens, y'all. But notice that the wicked is reserved to the day of destruction. See, the Lord called the Sabbath day the Sabbath of what? Rest. He didn't call that the day of destruction. So what remains after the Sabbath day of rest? Today. This is when he's going to deal with the wicked. Watch this. And he said, they shall be brought forth to the day of wrath. Notice, who shall declare his way to his face? Who shall repay him for what he had done? Who's going to deal with the wicked like that? Who? God. On this day, the 8th day. That's why I got a picture of the lake fire. I'm going to stay out of that one. We're going to stay in this one. Anyway, look. That he shall be brought to the grave, and those shall remain in the tomb. Why does the Lord say remain in the tomb? Because he never took up his statutes to understand the righteous come up for the Sabbath day. You don't even know that. It's irrelevant to him. Now watch this. Let's go to Psalms 50 and 16. Psalms 50th chapter, verse 16. This book don't mean nothing to the wicked. It's a, man, look. And look at that, man. Y'all playing with y'all. I said, all right. Okay. You think we joking? Okay. But the Lord looking and he like, okay, I got you. I got you faded. Right here, Psalms 50 and verse 16. Because the Lord started up. You know what? I'm going to start a little higher and then drop down. Because the gathering, this is what the Lord been doing. Psalms 50 and 1, then we're going to skip down to the wicked. He said, the mighty God, even the Lord, has spoken and called the earth from the rising of the sun until the going down thereof. Out of Zion, the perfection of beauty, God has shined. Our God will come and shall not keep silence. A fire shall devour before him, and it shall be very tempestuous round about him. He shall call to the heavens from above and to the earth that he may judge his people. Watch this. Gather my saints together to me, those that have made a covenant with me by sacrifice. Because we've been sacrificing for 7 days, y'all. You've been sacrificing. Like last week was for up to sundown today, we've been putting up sacrifices, burnt offerings for 7 days. Now watch this. And it says, and the heavens shall declare his righteousness, for God is judge himself. But watch this. Let's get down to verse 16. Watch this. But unto the wicked said, God said, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes? And they don't know nothing about no day of rest coming up in no first resurrection time. They're like, man, I'm going to heaven. But he said, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes, or that thou shouldest take my covenant in thy mouth? See, if thou hatest instructions and cast my words behind thee, how could they ever come up in the day of rest, y'all? You tell me. It's holy oblivious. I mean, Jack, they don't even know about it. So you mentioned too, like the guy asked me, man, what's so different about your religion than everybody else? I said, the first resurrection. He was like, what? First resurrection, what's that? So when I talked to him, that's the probability of him coming out of the 8th day and coming up into that 7th day. If he took heed to the word. Just gave him access to find out, hey man, that's the first resurrection. Nobody talk about that on Sunday, because guess what? It's a repeat of what happened on day 1. That's going to happen on the 8th day. But I'm going to go back to Hebrews 4th chapter. Let's go back to Hebrews 4th chapter. No, I'm sorry. I got to keep reading this. Woo. This is why they're coming up in that 8th day, y'all. He said, when thou sawest a thief, then thou consentest with him. That's being partakers with adulterers. Thou gavest thy mouth to evil, and thy tongue framest deceit. Thou sittest and speakest against thy brother. Thou slanderest thy own mother's son. Notice, these things hast thou done, and I kept silence. Thou thoughtest that I was altogether such as one as thyself. That's what the wicked thinking. God is like me. Everybody lies. So, God gonna give everybody a pass. No, God ain't like you. But he said right here, I kept silent because you thought I was like you, such as thyself. But I will reprove thee, and notice, and set them in order before thy eyes. When is the Lord gonna reprove them, y'all? He sure ain't doing it in the 7th day. Because he said the wicked ain't coming up. The ones that ain't believers, you is not coming up in my day of rest. It don't even mean nothing to you. You ain't even declare my statutes or take up my covenant, which gets you into the 7th day. So you don't throw that out. What's left, y'all? The 8th day. That is all that remains. That's why he said, now consider this, ye that forget God, lest I tear you in pieces, and there be none to deliver. Whoso offer praise glorify me, and to him that ordered his conversation aright, I will show the salvation of God. That's why we was feasting for 7 days, because we rejoice in the salvation of God being present in us. When you come to this 8th day, we pray that we make the first resurrection, because all your business is going to be on. We're going to look at it. We're going to look at it. So let's go to Hebrews 4th chapter. Hebrews 4th chapter. And we're going to pick up where we left off from. Hebrews 4 and 7. We're going to go start at 7. Hebrews 4 and 7. Again, he limited a certain day, saying in David, today, after so long a time, as it is said, today, if you will hear his voice, harden not your hearts. For if Jesus had given them the rest, you know that's not a typo, y'all. Anyway, then would he not afterwards have spoken of another day? There remaineth therefore a rest to the people of God. This is what this is about for the people of God. What if you ain't a partaker of the people of God? You ain't even going to be looking at this. Then he said, notice, verse 9, there remaineth therefore a rest to the people of God. So that's who's coming up in the 7th day. What about the ones that's wicked? Remember we read, he said that the wicked shall remain in the tomb. So let's go to Revelation 20th chapter and look at this. Revelation 20 and verse 4. Revelations 20, chapter, actually verse 1. I'm going to go Revelations 20 and verse 1. Because here it is so clear. It is really clear, crystal clear, what the Lord is doing right here. Revelations 20 and verse 1. We're going to read. And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having a key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil, and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. Now look, each one of these days that we're looking at represent 1,000 years. When we get to the Sabbath day, when it actually get here, we come to that 1,000 years that we're reading right here, that Satan ain't going to get in. Because he's not going to let the unbelievers that have an evil heart enter there. Did he swear that to Israel? He said, you should not enter into my rest. He taking Satan out here for what? One day. This is the Sabbath day, y'all. And watch this, y'all. And then it said to cast him to a bottomless pit and shut him up and set a seal upon him that he should deceive the nations no more till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled. After that, he must be loosed to Caesar. Because how long Satan been running around deceiving people, y'all? Since day one. He been running around deceiving all the way down until we get to where we at now. That's why homosexuals on the height. You know, men so deceived that they want to be women, and women so deceived they call themselves men. It done got excruciating because we in that last day of man's work. And God's going to drop the hammer and bring us to his kingdom and bring us to what we're reading right here for the first resurrection. Because watch what it says, verse 4. I saw thrones and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. Who is this that's getting judgment, y'all? It says, and I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Jesus and for the word of God, which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither his have received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands, and they lived and reigned with Christ 1,000 years. So each one of these represents 1,000 years. So when we get to here, this is the Sabbath day. So now, what's going on, y'all? You don't believe in coming up in this. Let's see who's going to get in this first one, or who not going to be in this. Look at verse 5. It said, but the rest of the day, who's the rest of this day? Everybody else that didn't come up in the first resurrection, live not again until the 1,000 years of finished. So until the Sabbath day is over, they ain't coming up. This is not the day of judgment. We read over and over. This is the day of what? Rest. But guess what? After that 7 day, like we feature for 7 days, we rejoice. You come this day, you be like, Lord, I pray I'm come up as a judge and not come up to be judged in this day. That's why it's a solemn assembly. That's why you care about showing up, because you want to come in this day a judge, not to be judged. Let's watch this. Because he said the rest of the day, they live not again until this day is over. Watch this. Verse 6. Blessed and holy is he that had part in the first resurrection. On such the second death hath no power, but they shall be priests of God and of Christ and shall reign with him 1,000 years. This is what we booking for. This is why we're rejoicing for 7 days. Because we want to rejoice because we're booking for the Sabbath day, y'all. We're booking to get in this. So when we come to this day, we were given judgment to be judges. How I know that? Hold this spot and let's go to 1 Corinthians 6 chapter. That's why the Lord said they ain't going to be bidding my supper. They ain't going to taste of my supper. Because they ain't coming up in the Lord's day of rest when he actually get here. Watch this, y'all. 1 Corinthians 6 and 2. 1 Corinthians 6 and 2. Watch what it says. Do you not know that the saints shall judge the world? And if the world be judged by you, are ye unworthy to judge the smallest matters? Because the Lord told you, Israel, we come up in the first grade, we're going to be ruling over Israel. Okay, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. Okay, but guess what? The world didn't come up in the 7th day, y'all. How we going to judge the world? Everybody got to come up. Everybody got to come up. And notice, let me finish this. He said, know ye not that we shall judge angels? How much more things that pertain to this life? So the 7th day is not the judgment day. Ain't no wicked going to be in there. Who's going to be judged? We're going to be ruling, reigning with Christ. So guess what we waiting on, y'all? For the rest of the day to come up. So let's go back to that Revelations 20th chapter. And we're going to see this happen, y'all. Back to Revelations 20 and 7. Watch this. And when the 1,000 years are expired, what does expired mean, y'all? If I give you some milk, and today be October 14th, and it said the milk expired October 10th, are you going to drink that milk? No, because expired means it's over. It's done. Complete. It's out of here. This is what the Lord just said. When the 1,000 years or when the Sabbath day is over, it's done, it's expired. Now let's see who coming out, y'all. Satan shall be loosed out of his prison. What is he going to do? Because you think about what happens after the Sabbath day. The Lord having us practice. Well, and kind of let you see the shadow of what's coming. Because after the Sabbath day, what happens on Sunday, y'all? Do you think Satan ain't losing there? Go pick a church on Sunday. You be like, hey, where you get that from? Go pick another. You be like, hey, wait a minute. That's what y'all. But then all this deception going around. Because this is exactly what the shadow of what this day represents. He's going to be loosed on the 8th day. And watch who he's going after. He's going after flesh. I know it's flesh, y'all, on the 8th day. Watch this. Because the 7 days over. We're in the 8th day. He said he should go out to deceive the nations which are in the four corners of the earth. Gog, notice, and Magog. Ain't that flesh and blood? Those are your Russians. Okay, you go look under Genesis, the 10th chapter. He's talking about flesh and blood people. Because guess what? When you get circumcised, you go into the 8th day of as a child goes to the 8th day. They go in with that cover, but they come out what? Uncovered, or they come out cut. So it's going to go in circumcised. The earth's going to go in. People going to go in there uncircumcised. But watch what the Lord do. He's going to cut. And when this cut happened on the 8th day, this is cut to the lake of fire, y'all. This is why this fire, this 8th day is a fearful fire when we sit back and we feast on the thoughts that one of us can end up in there. See, the intent of this day is to tighten up our shop group, y'all. Tighten up your walk with the Lord. Because watch what it says here. He's going to deceive Gog and Magog to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is in the last of Sanity. So there's a last battle in the last day. Watch this. And they went up on the breadth of the earth and compassed the camp of the saints about and the beloved city. And notice, fire came down from God out of where? Heaven. So which one is that? The Son is down here ruling. We reign with Christ, as kings and priests on the earth. So which God is that sitting up there seeing the fire down? It's the Father. He ain't came down. No. He sent fire down here because the Son ruling down here, and he taking out the ones that deceived out. And it says, fire devoured God. Fire came down from God out of heaven and devoured them. And watch this. And the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone. Notice where the beasts and the false prophets are, because the Lord will show you while we going for 1,000 years, right? He's going to show you a shadow of what's coming. See, everything the Lord got is stacked. He shows now by people being deceived. So now when we get into the Lord after Sabbath day, he's going to have 2 men in the lake of fire, which is a shadow of what's going to happen to the wicked when the 8th day comes in. The Lord always have these shadows laid out. Like, my shadow, I'm casting shadow in the book because he's trying to show you what's coming. Always, even the people doing the 1,000-year reign of Christ, he's showing, look, man, there's going to be more people than that in the lake of fire when the 8th day gets here. So now we see in this 8th day, the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone where the beast and the false prophet are, and they shall be tormented day and night forever and ever. Now watch this. And I saw a great white throne, and him that sat on it, from whose face the earth and heaven fled away, and there was found no place for them. And notice, I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God, and the books were open. And another book was open, which is the book of life. That's why I was going to say, look, please open up this book on me right now if I'm wrong, y'all. Rebuke me now. Because guess what? This is the day of rebuking with the word of God. Just like right now, you can actually go and read this book on the so-called Christian and be judged according to what is what? Written. Hey, brother, the Lord didn't say observe Christmas or observe Halloween or all that. Because you opening up the what? Book. Before then, you was running around, look, I think Pastor said, Deacon so-and-so said, and the deacon board said, but you was bookless. So you want to get booked now because guess what? On this day, when this book opened up, let's finish this. This is scary. Let's look at St. John 12 and 48. Let's go to St. John 12 and 48. St. John 12 and 48. This is the solemn assembly on this day. Your loved ones, people you may know, man, look, you're going to be standing there looking at them, and yeah, you know, you may be throwing our mothers in the lake of fire, y'all. Think about it. You may be throwing your brothers, your sister. That's why it's going to be a solemn. So that's why at a funeral, it's a solemn gathering. You sit there, look, I miss them, but when you get to this solemn gathering, it's going to be like, ain't no coming back from there. That's why everybody's like, man, look. That's why the Lord said, work out your salvation with what? Fear and trembling. You sit back and be like, man, that's the intent of this day, to put some fear and trembling in us. Be like, you know what? I'm going to do a little bit better job for the rest of the year till I get to this next 8th day so that I won't be trembling so hard. Dang. Watch this, y'all. St. John 12 and 48. St. John 12 and 48. Because you got people that reject this book. You don't write this book to them. Watch this. He that rejected me and receiving not my words have one that judges him. Remember, we read the saints going to do the judging. Well, notice. The word which I have spoken, the same shall judge him in what? The last day. See, because you got the last day of man's work. Then we know the end of the week is the last day of the week. But guess what? The last day for judges, this is when everybody's standing up, y'all. Big, small or great, big or small. That's why he said in the last day it should judge him. Now let's go to St. John 5th chapter where we in this John. Because St. John 5 and 22 tells us something here. Why it's so important this day is so critical. That's why the Lord had in the covenant of circumcision, he that's 8 days old must be circumcised. Because look, man would have been 8 days old by this point, y'all. That's why he cutting off the wicked. It got to happen. Man goes 7 days, all of us that believe in the commandments of God, we making a joke. But when you get to this 8th day, circumcision got to happen, y'all. But watch this. Watch this. St. John 5 and 22. This is why fire came down from the Father out of heaven. And he ain't came down yet, because this is what's going on. St. John 5 and 22. It said, for the Father judges no man, but hath committed all judgment unto the Son. That's why when we get to the day of judgment, hey, the Father ain't here. No, you got to clear all this foolishness out before I even come down. I ain't come down here to dwell with no wickedness whatsoever. So let's get down in the same chapter, verse 28. Because we read about the resurrection of the just. Well, watch this, verse 28. Marvel not at this, but an hour is coming in which all, now this is everybody. Remember we read about the small, dead, the great, all, whether they were small, great, all. This is what it says. But an hour is coming in which all that are in the grave shall hear his voice. Notice, it shall come forth. They that have done good unto the resurrection of life, and then have done evil unto the resurrection of damnation. Now let's go look at Malachi 3 and 17. See, this resurrection, now this when the rest of the dead come up in, it ain't necessarily mean everybody going in the lake of fire, but well, you kind of know, it's kind of like, yeah, I got a few, I know a few candidates that's gonna knock out the bottom of that lake of fire. You got a couple of them, But in that day, this day, the 8th day, look what it says. Malachi 3, and I said 3 and 17. I actually want to back up 3 and 16. It says, they that fear the Lord spake often one to another, and the Lord hearkened and heard it. That's why we got to speak often to one another, man. Hey, brother, what's up? On the Sabbath, hey, what's up, Jew, man? Look, we rocking book, blah, blah, blah. The Lord is listening to that kind of conversation. And he heard it. And notice, a book of remembrance was written before him for them that feared the Lord and that thought upon his name. And notice, they shall be mine, said the Lord of hosts, in that day when I make up my jewels. What day is that? For the day of rest. And notice, in that day when I make up my jewels, and I will spare them as a man spares his own son that serves him. Notice, Then shall you return and notice and discern between the righteous and the wicked, between him that serveth God and him that serveth him not. That's what this day is about. Because everybody that come up, the good, it's gonna be some good and evil in there. And this is what we're gonna be doing on this day. That's why I said, no, you're not the saints shall judge the world. And he said, no, you're not, we're gonna judge angels. This is what this is pointing to. So now what I want to do is go here to 2 Peter 2 and 4. 2 Peter 2 and 4. He said, they ain't gonna get into my rest. Look what Peter letting you know. 2 Peter 2 and 4. 2 Peter 2 and 4. 2 Peter, 2nd chapter, and verse 4. Watch this. For God spared not the angels that sinned, but cast them down to hell. This hell is a condition, y'all. And delivered them to chains of darkness to be reserved unto judgment. When you think the judgment is happening, it ain't in the Sabbath day. If he said the wicked ain't coming up in my Sabbath day, you shall not enter to my rest. This is the day of judgment. And watch this. Skip down to verse 9. Notice. It said, the Lord knows how to deliver the godly out of temptation. Amen. Amen. And to reserve, notice, and to reserve the unjust until the day of judgment to be punished. And we're going to listen to the sound of these people, y'all, how it sounds in a moment, y'all, in a moment. Now, I'm going to go back to Revelation 20th chapter and point out something in verse 7 right quick. Revelation 20 and verse 7. Revelation 20th chapter and verse 7. And it said, when 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison, and he shall go out to deceive the nations. Guess what, y'all? This ain't the first time Satan did this thing. Let's look at when he did it. He did it on the first day. Who did he deceive on man's first day? Adam and Eve did. So it's just a repeat. That's what this 8th day is pointing to. So if you never come out of the deception, you stuck in the 8th day. You are stuck in. They are stuck in the 8th day. That's why they're not believing. So let's go and look at 1 Timothy 2 and 13. 1 Timothy 2 and 13. First Timothy 2 and 13. Watch this, y'all. I'm going to say. 1 Timothy 2 and 13. It says, for Adam was first formed, then Eve. And Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in the transgression, y'all. See, Satan ain't doing nothing but practicing what he did on the first day. That's why on the first day of the week, guess what's going on? Big time. Deception. All of us was living in that stuff. One way or the other. Until we found out, hey, we need to keep God's commandments, which pulled us from this deception right here to the Lord's Sabbath. But they one that don't make it. They stuck right in the same thing that Satan did in the beginning. That's why on the 8th day, Satan got to do what he did on the first day. So now let's go back to Revelation 20th chapter. That's how I realized I had to put this thing in chart form. And when you look at it and you can see it, you be like, whoa. Because some people are visual learners. Some people can pick up things, they see it like, oh, I got it. I see it in the script. It jump out at you. Check that block. I see it. That's why I kind of do these things, illustrate. It's so because people are different learning skills, different learning pace. Visually, when you look at it, you see clearly what the Lord doing with his feast day, straight up, without a doubt. So now back to Revelation's 20th chapter. And we left off at verse 7, but I wanted to skip down because we kind of, at verse 12, Revelations 20 and 12. Notice, and I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God, and the books were open, and another book was open, which is the book of life, and the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books according to their works. Now, I reiterated that to go here. Let's go to Daniel's, the 7th chapter, and look at Judgment Day. Daniel's the 7th chapter. Watch this, y'all. And then we're going to listen to the sound of people. You know, I was like, first time I heard that, I can only take about 3 minutes of that. But I'm hope it scare y'all, you know, type, you know, like it did me when I first heard it. I'm like, man, look. We're going to Daniel 7th chapter and verse 9. And it says, I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was as white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. A fire stream issued and came forth before him. Thousands and thousands ministered unto him. Think about that number, y'all. Thousands and thousands. Okay? And this fire, this is the 8th day. That's why this fire of this day is different from all those other fires. But notice what's in front of him. And 10,000 times 10,000. Anybody know that number right quick? That's about 100 billion. In other words, the Lord is illustrating to you, look at what you're going through now. You that few on the Lord's Sabbath day. You that few that believe in keeping the Lord's commandments. But you think about how broad that deception is going on. You think about how many people disregard the Bible. Think it's a joke. You know how I mean? You've been ridiculed. You in the cold. Yeah, I'm about this book. The book is right. Y'all can't stand me for that. Roger that. Because guess what? When this day comes, he said 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was what? Set. That's why this is under the set feast. The Lord got the set, y'all. That's why y'all believe the Lord set feast. It all lines up. Pow. The judgment is set, and the what? The books is open. Child, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna have to tighten up, man. Look. So let me play this for y'all, man, so y'all can hear how this thing sounds. I'm like, oh. Okay, y'all.
Yeah, sorry.
We're gonna play that. But now I want to keep pushing on. Let's go to let's go to Saint I'm gonna go to Hebrews, sorry, Romans 5. Yeah, I need you to get your thinking. Yeah, because it seems like it cut off. Yeah. Is it on? Okay, here we go. That sound right there. You don't want to be on the, you want to be on the side of the small class, the thousands and thousands. You don't want to be on that 10,000. So we got one last verse to read. I'm going to go to Matthew 7. Matthew 7 is the last verse. Yeah, that sound right there. That's why this is a solemn assembly. You don't want to count on that. That's why I call solemn means to cause deep thought, serious thought. Prayer says grim. That's why. And Matthew 7:21. But what it says, not everyone that said unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father which is in heaven. That's why we saw the Lord one had 10,000 times 10,000. And then you got thousands, no, he thousands and thousands on it. That's ministered in 10,000 times 10,000. That's a rock star crowd. Okay? Notice, many were saying to me in that day, what day you think the Lord is talking about? Today. This is when these people is going to come up. Have we not prophesied in our name? And in our name had cast out devils? In our name had done many wonderful works? Then you think about that. All of that stuff they're doing in the name, they're so happy to do. When they come up and they see the Lord say the very next verse, then will I profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity. Yeah. That's why you want to go out, hey, you love your brother, your sister, your cousin, your mother, you want to, hey, hey, look, I'm trying to save you out this being on that 10,000 times 10,000 rock star crowd side. Because when it comes to this day, this is a solemn assembly. This is what the 8th day represents that the Lord is going to judge. And I'm going to go back and close. I just realized I'm leaving this out. Back to Revelation 20 chapter is where we're going to finish. Revelation 20 and 13. We'll finish it out here. And I want to keep down until the 21 because we're going to see the God going to be crying. He's going to have, and God at this point ain't just talking about one. It's like, when we say man, I say, hey man, I just spoke to all of y'all. A lot of us are species of man. So think about it. At this point, you got God, but God, the number is going to be like, it'll be like, now if I say God, if we was all God, then I just spoke to all of us because we came up in the first resurrection. We all are God. At this point. That's why he said right here, Revelation 20, we're going to go Revelation 20 and you see what I mean. Revelation 20 and 13, he said, the sea gave up the dead which were in it, and death and hell, the condition of it, is delivered up the dead that were in them, and they were judged every man according to their works. And death and hell were cast even into the lake of fire. This is the second death, because it was pointed to man that died once. So that we died, that's when we got that in the beginning, when Eve got deceived and she passed it on to her husband, and we became the children of this death. You ain't got to be a child of this death. You ain't going to go into the second death. And notice he said, whoso was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire. Now watch this. Immediately then, we're going beyond this, we're going to go right past this. It was so tight or so solemn. Watch what the Lord said. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and there was no more sea. And I, John, saw a holy city, New Jerusalem, notice, coming down from God out of heaven. So where's the Father at, y'all? He's still up there. He's sitting down New Jerusalem, that place that we want to rejoice in. And look, and I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, behold, the tabernacle of God is with me, and now he coming to dwell with us, y'all. We was rejoicing with the Son being here. Now we rejoice the Father is coming down. And they shall be his people, and God himself shall be with them and be their God. And watch this. And God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes. Who do you think is this that was crying, y'all? That he had to wipe tears. The people in the lake of fire, they're going to be hollering and screaming. That's a wrap. Yeah, it's that solemn. That's when this solemn assembly is gonna come to a close. You're gonna be like, look, I gotta wipe the tears off the eyes of God. That's how serious this day is. And there shall be no more death, because death ends after this day. And no more sorrow or crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. Just like that circumcision, you wipe away all the sins. That's why the covenant is representing the removal of the wicked. That's why it's called the former things and those. And he that sat upon the throne said, behold, I make all things new. He said to me, write, for these words are true and faithful. And he said to me, it is done. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. This is the end. It's over. It's the fire. When it's going down, it's a wrap. Not the seventh day. The seventh day is when the saints come up and we rule the earth and all of that. But the eighth day, we judge the world. And after that, it's a wrap. Okay, so did I finish that? And I will give unto him that is thirsty of the fountain of water, the fountain of the water of life freely. He that overcometh shall inherit all things, and I'll be his God, and he shall be my son. But notice, but the fearful, he's leaving this back for us, y'all. This is hollering and screaming it's going to be doing. But the fearful, the unbelieving, they're not going to get into the Lord's day of rest. The abominable, the murderers, the whoremongers, the sorcerers, the idolaters, and all liars shall have their part in the lake which burneth with fire and brimstone. This is the second death. That's why this Friday, this day, represent everybody that's going to be burning in here. So I hope you got some understanding about the 8th day, the Feast of Ingathering, Judgment Day. And this is the solemn assembly for the 8th day. So what we do, we have a solemn assembly. So after you leave from here, hey, it's a day of reflection. You think about it and be like, you know what? They'll do a little bit better job. You know, I'm just saying, everybody knows in their own place, their own heart. All of this is for everybody's called. Believe you me. So if the hair is standing up on the back of your neck, that's a good thing. Okay? Remember that, because this fire that burning, man, you don't want to be. You want to be in that. So we're going to go ahead and get ready to close out, y'all. We're going to get ready to close out. We're going to close out. So we're going to stand up, and we're going to face the rules and close out. Said the wicked watches the righteous and seeking to slay him. The Lord will not leave him in his hand, nor condemn him when he is judged. Wait on the Lord and keep his way, and he shall exalt thee to inherit the land. When the wicked are cut off, thou shalt see it. I have seen the wicked in great power, and spreading himself like the green bay tree. Yet he passed it away, and lo, he was not. Yeah, I sought him, but he could not be found. Mark the perfect man, and behold the upright. But the end of that man is peace. But the transgressors shall be destroyed together. The end of the wicked shall be cut off. But the salvation of the righteous is of the Lord. He is their strength in a time of trouble. And the Lord shall help them and deliver them. He shall deliver them from the wicked and save them because they trust in him. I read from Psalms 37 chapter. May the Lord add a blessing to the reading, hearing, and doing of his word. In the mighty name of Jesus, we pray. Amen. Say amen. Amen. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord God of Israel. The Alpha, the Omega, the beginning, and the end. Hallelujah. 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 In Jesus' mighty name.